Are you
Hey,
are you
Mic
good?
check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2 1 2.
Wonder why they say mic check 1 2. Why not like mic check AB?
Let's not do this.
Okay. Just curious.
Mm.
Yeah. You kind of seem like you're in a mood.
Oh, dude, my job, man.
You have a bad day?
Oh, when don't I have? Hold on. I'm getting a call.
Oh, on a hotel phone.
Hello? Is this 1997
Yeah.
calling?
You coming to the hot tub party downstairs?
Let me turn down my Power Rangers. Who's using this?
I know.
And it works. It has the dial tone.
You had a chalet.
Yeah, right, man.
Is that a motor in?
It's it's supposed to be a Best Western, but I think it was kind of one of them old like travel lodges or whatever they used to be. It's like a motel, dude. So I'm in Miles, Montana. I
Miles
was in
City?
Bismarck last night. Yeah, I was in Bismarck yesterday. I was in Bismarck all day.
Yeah.
So I cruised to Bismarck. We do a site visit. We go and look at some stone features that I'm working on. We work on this big project called the North Plains Connector, which is like a power company,
Yeah.
Grid United. So they're doing all this permitting survey work where we're doing archaeology survey. My guys are. There's like several tribes. We call them tribal cultural specialists. So they find cool stuff. Us tippos go out. We look at the cool stuff.
Yeah.
So that's what I was doing today. In Bismarck, and then left Bismarck about 2:00. Stopped at Theodore Roosevelt National Park and had a quick meeting with their cultural resource specialists, and then left there. Got to Miles City, which we'll be doing site visits tomorrow, and then yeah, man. I mean, I'm just tired. It was hot today. I had to pull up my big boy panties and go outside, and I just didn't like it.
That's quite the agenda. Quite the agenda.
What life, dude?
Tipo life?
It's tipo life. Yeah, like it's crazy, man. It's not a realistic way of living. It's not even a realistic way of culture. It's
not
weird.
That's what you call it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable living.
No. There's a high rate of burnout. High rate of burnout.
Yeah. Well,
opioid addiction.
Right up there with opioid addiction. Huh?
Oh man,
this is Tipple life. Look at this. I bought a Mountain Dew and then I bought melatonins. What does that tell you?
What the heck? Just put a melatonin in that Mountain Dew bottle. What's gonna happen? That's weird. I don't know, man.
I don't know. Let's get rolling. Okay. How are you, man? How's it going, Bryan?
Oh yeah, Bryan. We got Bryan Dupuy here. He's rejoining us. The rare, well, we've had I think two returning guests, right? I think we had Mike back twice and maybe John back twice.
Well, didn't John, he was like part of a group, right?
I don't know. This was like episode 2 or 3, maybe.
We're doing some social media action.
You're gonna social media? Okay. Let me man, I come across this song here. I want you to listen to this first, though. So we're gonna let's see, share sound, yeah. I want you to listen to this song. We're all gonna take a lead, including Bryan.
Oh shit.
He didn't know that.
I don't want to do this. This sounds
I'm just kidding. What do you think? Come on.
Limber up.
Yeah, wind it up. Pinch the throat. If you pinch the throat and just scream for about 1 to 2 seconds, and if you're singing contemporary, people will pick you up, and that's a hot lead, man. All right. Listen to this, man. This is a good song.
It's a contempt tune?
No. I wish. Oh no. We still got to do that episode though, where we preview some contempt history. I don't think we're quite the authorities on that or anything for that matter, but that was kind of cool. Yeah, we can pretend. All right, here it is. Listen to this.
Okay.
You hear that?
What was that?
I don't know. It's pretty awesome. This is a good song, though. I don't know where it comes from. I'm just trying to learn it, you can tell. Can you hear it? We lose you? Pretty cool, eh?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. That's a cool tune. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I like it.
Oh my. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Weird. Interesting. All righty.
Yeah, nice little tune there. Could tell they're just going over it. Somebody in the middle is ribbit or something. I don't know what they say.
Yeah, I was like,
Play
what
it
was
again.
that?
Play that
right.
part again.
Yeah, it's pretty good one. All right, let's play that again. Yeah, here it goes. Here it goes. Here it comes. Here it comes. What did I say? Wait.
I don't know, man.
Let's listen to it again. It was again. I don't know what that is.
Play it one more time.
Okay. One more time. Hold on.
That's
Maybe
worth
it's a
it.
nickname, man. Maybe they forgot. What's that?
Yeah, here it is.
Dude, I don't know. I don't know what he said.
Gotta put that on the loop.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it, dude.
Okay, that's enough. Oh man. I don't know if that's entertaining.
I don't know what he says. I don't know what he's saying. That's all I heard. Rabbit. No. And you don't know where that recording's from?
I don't know. This is from those reel to reels, you know.
To me, it kind of has like a Nez Perce, Colville, Umatilla kind of sound to it, you know, like I don't know. Maybe, yeah, I don't know.
I think it's the same. Well, it's from the same reel to reel that I've been playing these tunes from. So I think the last episode I played that owl dance tune, you know. It's from that same, I think it's that same group, but it's the other side of the reel, you know.
Whoever Ribbit plays for. Ribbit.
Yeah. Pretty good. Very good. Yeah, well, anyway, we've got Bryan Dupuy back, and he's got something to say. Now, I'm going to preface this with with a bit of a congratulations to Bryan. He finished his law degree, man.
Yeah,
That's
thanks.
awesome. That is so awesome, man. This
Juris-
guy, if you see him, he's still the guy that hangs out at the gas station with the half drink and pop, leaning against the building.
pop.
You know, yeah,
Ice popping seeds, man.
yeah. He's still just a regular dude, man. And
Yeah.
he put it in his mind to get a law degree, and he did it. And man, that's awesome.
But one thing you can do, Bryan, is say you're a regular dude, because guys who are regular dudes don't have to say that. I'm always serious. Hey, I'm just a regular Joe. You know, it's like, if you say that, you're probably not.
You're not. Yeah, let's
yeah, you're
Day,
not. So
I was kind of wondering. I was like, I wonder if I'd even look like a law student. Because I had some like donors walk through the hallway and they're really looking at me like, in LA, like, oh, don't worry. During the summer, the building's open to the public. And I was like, what the heck? I go here. Like, I just graduated. I was just like, man, I just kind of felt shamed out. Like, I just a suit and tie all the time or something.
Are you excuse me, are you looking for free legal help?
Yeah, basketball jerseys don't cut it anymore.
You look like the guy on the other side of the law. Which that's cool, man. I like it. I like it when regular people do cool shit, you know?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Yeah. So big congratulations to you, man. And
so is this an Indian law episode? Is that what we're doing?
It's gonna go the way it's gonna go, okay?
Dude, is that what's going down right now?
This is this is the Indian law episode.
No.
We're gonna go through everything Indian law. Pull out your textbook. Actually, it's a packet. Pull out packet B.
A reader, if you will.
Oh yeah, your reader. What's that?
Hope you guys download your PDFs before the episode.
Yeah. Did you download and read the 60-page?
This is the first episode where our guest sent us a reader before the episode.
Oh man.
Did you, Bryan, let me ask you this. Let me get us back on track.
Okay.
Sean Bean's.
I know. Okay.
Was there a particular focus in your law degree that you chose? Or hey, first, where did you go to law school?
So I went to University Alexander Blewett III School of Law at the University of Montana. So yeah, when I went to Salish Kootenai College and studied with Sean Dean here, I did hydrology, and I kind of had political aspirations, maybe go a legislator route, but we had to do a lot of law classes on that degree track, like environmental law, water law, NEPA, federal Indian policy. So I kind of had an interest in continuing that education. So when I went to law school, I was more geared for environmental law. But I realized my passion was in Indian law. You know, they were the cases that just really infuriated me and made me like, want to make a counter argument or, and so but environmental law does overlap a lot with Indian law. So I still get to kind of use that knowledge and expertise as well. But yeah, my passion is in Indian law. I took every Indian law class I could except ICWA because it conflicted with one of my other classes. So I was the only one I didn't get to take while I was there.
So you kind of had a focus in Indian law and environmental law, or no?
Yeah, I did some environmental law classes.
What's your plan? Do you have a plan, or is it still fresh?
Yeah, I'm just kind of keeping my options open. There's about 4 opportunities at the tribe I could kind of go, like if I wanted to go criminal or like in-house counsel, like kind of maybe for the exec team or even energy keepers. I think was looking maybe to get another lawyer on board and go work for the dam.
Trying to stay local.
Yeah, I definitely kind of want to stay in Missoula if I can, but it's really competitive since it has the only law school in the state here in Missoula. A lot of people don't want to leave after they graduate.
Right. Well, you got plenty of opportunity, I think. I don't know. I never did like that word or that phrase, because you got a lot of opportunity. But I don't know if that's unnecessarily true for Indian dudes,
Mm-mm.
We
I
don't.
think it's it's just a saying, man.
Yeah.
It don't apply to us. I mean, there is opportunity, but our opportunities are very different. Like
Yeah.
the average Indian dude's opportunities are not what everybody else's, even with a law degree.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah. Yeah.
you gotta. It's what we were all taught. You have to work twice as hard to do this kind of work,
Mhm.
and to prove your point, just to prove mediocrity.
Yeah.
Honestly, I never really applied for a lot of those internships, and I kind of just figured my best opportunity to get employed would be through a tribe or through my tribe.
Hmm.
And so I didn't even look at a lot of those just regular internship opportunities through school. Just
Yeah.
'cause I kind of thought I would maybe be at a disadvantage. But a lot of Native students come in and kind of dig themselves a hole through those doctrinals, those beginning courses, and
Oh
so
yeah.
they're trying to figure out why that is, and maybe ways to combat it. And I noticed I was really able to connect through a lot of the principles of law through Indian law, just because I lived it on the
Yeah.
reservation. I'm like, oh, that's why we have lease lots. Oh, that's why land's in trust. Oh, that's so things start kind of clicking and making more sense of why things are the way they are back home.
Some of that case law you're reading probably had the auntie or uncle or grandpa
Yeah.
in it.
Yeah, I heard a couple.
That's cool, man. So, did you have a follow up, Aaron, or are you done with your
No,
line
I'm
of questioning?
I'm just trying to get our
Can the
listeners.
witness leave
trying-
the?
Trying to get our
No
15
spotlight.
listeners to know. All right.
Oh, okay.
Give them the basics. I'm giving them the basics because we have a tendency to just get rolling and then people are like, who the hell are they talking to?
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
part of our charm. Oh, hey, for the record,
Yeah.
Bryan, you didn't know this. This is kind of one of the sidebar conversations, but I've never listened to our podcast until yesterday, day before yesterday. First time, man. First time I ever listened to my podcast. So then today I listened to another episode. And I'm going to say, man, Bryan, I don't know if you listened, but it's not bad. It's not bad, man.
I actually enjoy it. Yeah, they actually used that one, the last episode I was on, as an example for other classes, or they'll throw it up there when we talk about some international law concepts. And I'm like, oh
Nice.
man, I wish I would have was better worded, or more versed on my legal concepts. But I'm like, man, they're showing this to other law students. Hey, no. But a lot of people, said it sounds good. A lot of people gave me a lot of positive feedback on it.
That's awesome.
And then they had listened to other episodes too. They'll even mention that. Oh man, that one about this and that. They'll laugh about it.
Cool. Well, I'm glad people are listening. I'm glad Aaron finally listening. I'll ask him, because I put a lot of hard work into editing these,
It's
a lot
appreciated, man.
lot of nights, and oftentimes I feel unappreciated, despite the accolades that Aaron tries to give me. Deep down, I feel bad for the imbalance that. No, I was kidding. I don't feel bad at all. No, but I'm glad he listened, man.
Neither do I.
Neither does he.
Yeah. Nor do I, friend. Nor
Feeling
do I.
awesome. Yeah, feeling awesome. You do all that.
I'm just
No, yeah.
good.
No, you go ahead. It's good. It's good. Anyway, so Bryan comes here on round 2. He's going to try to redeem himself because he didn't do his homework last time, and we shot him some hard questions, and we challenged his thoughts on it. But he's come prepared now with a Juris Doctorate. Is that what it is? Juris Doctorate. So this we can call you Doctor. We can call you Dr. Dupuy, yeah? You got a street name? What's your street name? Unitas? You say Unitas?
No.
What's your street name?
One of them was Hubcap. I got from Oh, Albert Kaya in Kootenai class just had me on the board.
Oh, I
Took me
know.
words,
I know which
and
one
then
it
he
is.
said
Oh,
Bobcat, and then
yeah,
I thought he said Hubcap, and
yeah.
so everyone at Two Eagle called me Hubcap.
I know what it is. Your
That's
doctor,
probably one of the coolest names.
that is hubcap. But I got the one. I got it. Doctor Dirty Belly.
Oh, Bronson, yeah, he
Yeah.
always called me Dirty Belly.
Doctor Dirty Belly.
Oh, that's a good one.
That was a nickname given to Bryan by the late Bronson McDonald. Why did he call you Dirty Belly?
I can't remember if he said I looked like Charles Bronson or what was I remember what last time I heard I was at Dairy Queen. It was like Dirty Belly. And I was like, is that Bronson? I'll turn around. And, like, I haven't heard that name in years, man. Like, I can't remember why. Oh, because I wear that necklace, and sometimes I brush up against stuff, and I always have like a little dust spot on my shirt. He's like, "Why is your belly always dirty?" And he started calling me Dirty Belly. That's what it was.
Man, Bronson himself wasn't short of no nicknames. Brondana,
Brandon.
Brondanovich, Charles Bronson was one. Brownstein, Brondonio. Like we had names for him, man, like all over. Is crazy. You know what's funny? Fun fact about the late Bronson McDonald that you guys, since you brought him up, I always enjoyed talking about him.
Yeah.
He used to live with me. He was 16 years old. He lived with me.
Yeah.
15, 16 years old, the guy could whip out a friggin' round dance, the saddest round dance song you ever heard. It's composed beautifully. Never had a girlfriend. Gets a girlfriend, no longer can make love songs. Like it was like, Bronson, you were such a wordsmith, a poet, pre-love, and then you fell in love, and your songs are shit now. You know?
Yeah.
He used it up. Yeah. Well, anyway, Dr. Dirty Belly is Dr. Dupuy here he's got something to tell us. And I want to hear it because this is gonna kick us off. Because we're ready. We've become the student, but the student always has these odd questions. So let's see what you got, man. What do you got?
Yeah, I just wanted to maybe try have a fun discussion about
fun.
I don't know if you could say fun and Supreme Court in the same sentence, but maybe even poke holes, or just Supreme Court decisions, and some of the recent ones could just man, I mean they really flip-flop, and I think there's a lot that could be unpacked there.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah,
I feel a bit ambushed.
Feeling attacked? Or like unprepared?
Well, I think you'd have to draw up a scenario for us or give us some talking points. You're leading the course today. So you tell us what do you want to talk about? Because hey, if there's anything I can do, man, I could bullshit my way through anything. So bring it on.
I think you could do good in law school, man.
Yeah.
That's a lot of imposter syndrome. You fake it till you make it.
Yeah, Tippo's getting you down. Jump into law school, man.
Yeah. Always there's this discussion sometimes we have in class where the Supreme Court's trying to kind of figure out something with a tribe, and they're always like, well, is this Indians doing Indian things? And a lot of times everyone in the class looks at me being like the only Indian student. Sometimes there'd be two of us, and so I could look the other guy. Hey, no, but they'd always want us to answer like we're just supposed to just be the all keepers of all this knowledge and speak for all tribes. And but we just always just be like, well, obviously you guys don't wear belt buckle shoes and shoot black powder rifles anymore. Like you guys were able to evolve. The law was able to evolve. I think Indians should be able to evolve. But it's kind of weird. Like the court's always like, man, is this Indians doing Indian things? And what do those, look like? And did they do this traditionally? And And so, thankfully for stick game, we kind of can gamble and have casinos, but it's like just
Yeah.
just some of their logic, man. It's just difficult. So always any opportunity I can to maybe uh poke fun at the highest court, maybe I'll take the opportunity. But yeah.
Well, I'm curious about this idea of tradition. What I mean, it sounds like they think of tradition as in some era, right?
Hmm.
Is it I mean, is it legally defined? Is tradition legally defined? That'd be
Not
my first question,
really.
Professor.
Because like they had the Indian crimes courts
Yeah.
or something like that. It's like in 1800, they basically outlawed being Indian. You couldn't sing or dance
Right.
and a lot of our rituals. And then now they try to be like, oh, is this Indians doing Indian things? And I'm like, well, through federal policy and assimilation tactics, they wanted us to fold into society
Right.
and not be any difference. But then they almost like use that when they're looking at cases, like, well, is there a difference? And it's like, well, I think you guys tried to, determine that through their policies, and so it just kind of frustrates me because I know there's still a connection there, and people are still able to practice their culture, but it's just in maybe a more limited fashion than we did 150 years ago or something.
Right.
But
Right. But it has the court ever legally defined what a Native American tradition is?
not like that I've seen, like, because they had that Teton case up in Alaska that's pretty bad. It's a really bad, well, this, they don't live in teepees, they don't hunt buffalo, these aren't Indians. And so it's like kind of why they don't have reservations up there, and they're more like corporations, which may have worked out in their favor in the long run. But it's like these are Alaskan natives, instead of
Right.
buffalo, maybe they're hunting walrus. Instead of teepees, they live in an igloo. But I mean, it's still kind of doing similar things. And so I remember I just was really frustrated with the court and their analogies. And so I just, they tend to just kind of overlook tradition or the value or anything like that, of
Right.
heritage or oral history, oral tradition. They don't really value that in the legal system. So I was definitely not something that worked in our favor.
Right. Well, that's kind of the work that you do, Aaron, right? Is you lean on past tradition to uphold present law. Is that right? Is that kind of what tribal historic preservation is all about?
Yeah, I mean, our job is to enforce federal law, the Archaeological Resource Protection Act, the National Historic Preservation Act,
Is there
Antiquities Act. Yeah, our job. That's our job. And like, I guess our job is to build a case for certain portions of that law. The biggest thing is the National Register of Historic Places has these designations. They're called criteria,
right?
And it's all under the National Historic Preservation Act. And our job is to use those criteria for any eligible properties. So that's historic sites, and if it meets any of them criteria, it's supposed to give us certain protections for that site, but really doesn't, because it's a law that doesn't have a lot of teeth. It's really easy to challenge. That's kind of the nature of our job.
But in all that you just said, is there any legal definition of what a Native American tradition ought to be, or who defines that?
Yeah. Heritage. Yeah. Heritage is any ritual custom that is taught through enculturation. So there's a loose definition of what culture is and what heritage is, and
is it bound by a certain time period or a length of practice?
I think it's more like the tribe's definition, isn't it? Like what the tribe defines.
In some cases, yeah, a tribe can define what that is, but under certain federal laws, there's that terms used section or whatever. There's terms used in there, and the one of them is heritage culture, which is defined, and you can You can probably just Google it, give it a Google, give it a Bing.
Bing.
I don't know.
Okay.
No, for us old
Yeah.
schoolers, Yahoo.
Or we ask
Still.
Jeeves. Remember Ask
But
Jeeves?
yeah, so Ask Jeeves. Yeah. Do I remember Ask Jeeves? So what we actually do is there's a section of the National Historic Preservation Act
Okay.
that takes into the consideration its impact to cultural resources on tribes, and that's called Section 106.
Section
So
106.
our job is to do what's known as Section 106 consultation.
Okay.
Where I was kind of getting at is consultation is the time to make those definitions. And that's when it's taken to the account the potential impact to cultural resources. That's what it says in the area of potential effect. It also kind of functions under NEPA. So NEPA it just says to take into the account the cultural environment, but it doesn't have like a section for cultural environment. It defaults to the National Historic Preservation Act. So we work heavily in NEPA and heavily in NHPA.
That's a lot of acronyms.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. And like you're asking me this, and that's weak, dude. Like, like honest to God, I just spent the day with 4 other typos, dude.
Well, this is the thing, man.
This is like
this is the thing. I know you don't want to talk about it, but I'm curious. This is because Bryan's saying that the Supreme Court of the United States of America has this the wrong sort of idea about native tradition and or culture, and that it's sort of stuck in the past.
Man,
I think that's what I got. Is that right, Bryan?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you're saying, well, through all these acronyms you just threw at me, and I don't.
Well, these aren't considered laws, native federal Indian laws. These are just federal laws that impact tribes, right?
Oh, okay.
And believe it or not, some of the most powerful cases we've been able to fight in the Supreme Court have been through cultural resource law.
Yeah.
The Keystone Pipeline was stopped because of cultural resource law. The whole No DAPL thing, right? That all had to do with a misunderstanding and consultation under Section 106. So like some of these big landmark cases that we have today have a direct connection to cultural resource law or Native American graves and protection, repatriation and protection. It's real easy, and I'll let Bryan talk. I talk too much. But it's real easy to think of federal Indian law as those, of course we know John Marshall and the Marshall Trilogy is the foundation for federal Indian law, but we also don't ever take into the account the impacts of the European crown on those kind of decisions prior. It created an environment for that kind of thing to live. It was counter to what like the Royal Proclamation said, right? So the Royal Proclamation in a lot of ways protected tribes. And they called the Ohio River Valley the Indian Reserve. So now when the overthrowing of the British government or the crown, it's the culture of the American people to rebel against the policies and the proclamations of the crown. So I often wonder if those cases would have been the same had that not happened, because it's not the punk rock thing to do, right? You want to rebel against the crown. The crown says don't go west of the Ohio River Valley, as that is deemed Indian land.
Oh, I get what
you know
saying.
What I mean?
Yeah.
So once those court cases, once the U.S. defeats the crown, now it's the trend of the day to rid themselves of those old policies that represent the crown. So I wonder, my question, I guess my thought is that had that proclamation not been made, would the expansion west, I know it would have happened, but would it have happened in the same way? Because not only was it happening military-wise, it was happening cultural-wise. It was also happening in the courts. So it's like a 3-pronged approach to the expansion west. It was very, I think it would be different. Let's let the legal scholar.
The Aaron Bryn trilogy is over. Let's weigh in on this, Bryan.
Yeah, when the Royal Proclamation, that was a big reason for the Revolutionary War
Wait
because
now. The Roe Proclamation?
sorry,
Royal. I'm sorry,
the
Royal.
Royal Proclamation, yeah,
Okay.
where they established the line, I believe, at the Appalachians, and they said if you go west, you're subject to the Indians, which kind of implied our sovereignty and our authority to regulate people that entered our territories. And then like John Quincy Adams, like George Washington were land speculators and going and over and trading with these tribes and getting large swaths of land. And so, they kind of felt like it was their right to do that. So, it was crazy. The Boston Tea Party, they dressed up like Indians to
Yeah.
kind of throw it in the face of the crown. But, John Marshall really had to carefully navigate that with the Marshall trilogy, because it was kind of the same thing with Johnson v. McIntosh. So they're still going west of where they weren't supposed to, and buying land from tribes. And so John Marshall, it was kind of a constitutional crisis because he needed the states to buy in, to the constitutional bargain for, the experiment of America to work. But he also needed to like navigate these rights that the tribes had. And so it's kind of a lot of similar things that were going on with the crown and the land speculators with the Royal Proclamation with Johnson v. McIntosh. And the government was really poor after the Revolutionary War, so they're rewarding war veterans with land. And they just happened to supposedly have a controversy where land that was bought from a tribe overlapped with land that was given to a veteran. And later on determined the land didn't overlap, but they still wanted to kind of figure out the issue. So Marshall really had to carefully navigate that. So that's when he kind of came up with the term usufructuary rights. Like we had a right to occupy the land. And so he kind of was like, oh, well, they don't own land like European counterparts, to leave it in their hands would be like a wilderness, basically, is what he's saying, which is kind of weird today when you think about conservation. So, but that's a whole nother conversation. But yeah. So it's just, it kind of makes me wonder if things really would have been different, because it seemed like a lot of the similar arguments between land speculators that are trying to expand their wealth and move west, and then they're trying to deal with these tribes that obviously live there, and how do they kind of legally go about that?
Yeah. Oh boy.
So was that's the Wabash Land Company, right?
I believe so. That sounds familiar. Yeah. Yeah, actually, it was like a few of them like together. They were like there was a couple of different land speculators, but there was like a big one that was buying up a lot of land.
I mean, Johnson, he represented he I can't remember, man. It's been so long. He either was he the president of the Wabash Land Company or McIntosh?
Yeah,
Man,
I'm not too sure the specifics now. Yeah, we kind of more cover the holding, kind of the outcomes of that.
Are you looking it up, Shandi?
Yeah.
That was like the problem I always had is like, they basically said we had a right to occupy land, even though we entered treaties as like nation to nation, right? And so we're supposed to be like an equivalent nation with sovereign rights. And then, they're like, oh, well, you just occupied the land. And then we get these reservations and they allot it. And they're like, well, you don't really know how to pay taxes or keep your land, so we're gonna hold it in trust for you. And so it's like the whole time we've never owned our own land, and it's just like it's just frustrating. Yeah.
The way you did that was awesome. It's like that's how I feel every day at work. It's like, wait a second, wait, what?
You guys
need to pat my belly and rub my head at the same
time. Man, I don't know what just happened in this episode. I don't know what the heck you guys are talking about at all. Not one thing. Now,
what do you mean?
I don't know what you guys are talking about. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Wabash Land Company. What was it? What did you say? What's this weird word you said? Bryan said this weird word.
Yeah.
Perfunctory.
Usufructuary. Yeah.
Usufructuary.
Fructory.
You're a usufructuary.
Yeah. I'm gonna try to keep this podcast clean. We're not gonna be saying those words here. What is?
Damn.
Yeah. No, I want to try to keep up, but man, I kind of got lost a little bit.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, I just
No,
sorry, I was
no,
a little frustrated there. I was ranting.
I know both of you were going off on. Aaron was spilling all these acronyms, and you're talking about Wabash, and I don't know what, man. I'm lost. I'm lost. So this is the deal, though. This is what I get out of it. This is what I heard is that, and I said this before a number of times, is that our legal system or legal systems of different tribes across the North American continent were essentially subjugated and placed into a foreign legal structure, right? I mean, you said it yourself. You said this about the idea of land ownership, right?
Mhm.
So these guys come in with this idea of what land ownership ought to be, and it's not matching the practice and custom of tribes and how they're dealing with the land, which apparently they think is in holdings of the tribes in North America.
Mhm.
And then what Aaron is essentially saying is that because of this royal proclamation and because of the demeanor of the colonists in the East and their would you call it a proclivity to rebel? Is that even a right word?
No, I
Proclivity?
didn't say proclivity. I just said I wasn't saying anything legal. What I was
No,
saying
no,
was,
I'm saying proclivity. Okay,
I
you
was
go.
saying I was
Okay.
saying the culture of the time was to rebel against anything that was English,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
the policies of
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was the policies of the royal of the crown. The royal
Yeah.
proclamation was a policy
Yeah.
from the crown.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
all I was saying is I wonder if it would have changed things if
Yeah.
that proclamation wasn't there, because now anything that involves expansion into the Ohio River land
Yeah.
base and all that valley, it's like in the culture of the day was like, well, that's where we weren't supposed to go. We're not
Yeah.
going to be told. We're not going to follow those policies of the crown. To me,
Yeah.
I think it has an impact that people don't talk about.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. And the crown wasn't protecting tribes. What they were doing, it was economically not viable to keep sending people over there. So they said, hey, man, you guys quit going over there. So they drew
Right.
this imaginary line saying, don't go over there. Wow. Within 8 years, the Revolutionary War starts.
Okay. Okay.
Because that's
Yeah.
No, yeah.
1763,
Sure.
1765, something like that.
Yeah.
The Royal Proclamation. Shandi, you gotta know this stuff.
I
What are
know.
you doing?
No, I mean, I'm not hung up on the dates or anything. I'm hung
Well,
up on
and
this is
in
what
this case, dates do
okay,
matter
dates do
because
matter. Okay.
it's
Okay. So I'm gonna get hung
because
up on a date. Okay.
Thomas Jefferson, who I believe was either the president or the vice president of the Ohio River Land Company.
Okay.
It was either him or George Washington. I don't know.
1763.
They were told they can't expand west of the Royal
Okay.
Proclamation. That's all the land they own. That's all the Ohio River Land Company.
Okay.
And you're telling me there's no coincidence within a couple of years the Revolutionary War starts? Come on, man. Come on, Sean Dean. You're drinking that Kool Aid, playboy.
I'm not arguing against it. I was trying to summarize in layman's term, but minus the word proclivity, which I was just trying to be jokey.
Wait. Are you saying Indians can't use that word? Is that what you're saying right
hey,
now?
now back off. Okay. You know what I like is when a new word comes out in like a rap song, and then you hear it on every rap song. Like remember prerogative. Prerogative was a word that came out in an R&B song.
You just showed your age.
Oh yeah,
when
wow.
you said prerogative, and then you referred to it as a rap song.
Man.
People who listen to rap just call it a tune. I said, "Oh, you listen to that new song?" They don't say, "Hey, you've been listening to that rap song." You don't say that, dude. Like you don't listen to big, you don't listen to High Noon and go, "Hey, have you listened to High Noon's new powwow song?" Yeah, dude, we know that part of it.
Did you hear that new old style song?
Dude.
That new original style song?
Sean Dean, you're killing me, man. You're killing me.
This is
I don't know
fun
what-
being
I
on
don't-
the
I don't-
being on the bottom of knowledge of things because I don't know none of these things hardly. Okay, hold
Well,
on.
neither
now.
do I. Neither do
Oh,
I, man.
Well,
Neither
well,
do
you
I.
act like you did. So keep
What did I
rolling with
say? What did I say, Brian, when we started? I said I'm gonna bullshit my way through this.
it. You are, man. You are. So I'm trying to untangle the BS here.
Mhm.
So you're saying, and I believe it, man. You know that idea. That's just sort of a human construct to do the thing that somebody's telling you not to do. At least for adolescents. At least for adolescents, they're gonna rebel. So I can see that kind of fanning the flames of rebellion and then pair that with what Bryan was saying about this. Well, I don't know if you were saying that, but what I was saying, summarizing about this legal tradition getting placed upon the tribes. It's like the idea. You show up and say, "Well, there's nobody here. Let's start cutting these trees down and build a nice little plantation. There ain't nobody here. And there's no fence. I guess nobody's using it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is what I want to know. Okay, keep going. Okay, this is what I want to know. Okay, this is what I want to know is how does that translate over into the current understandings and decisions made by the Supreme Court? What is I mean, is it still
It's
guided?
definitely
Yeah, go ahead.
interesting because there's this concept like race judicata. Like once they decide it, it's already decided. So if a case kind of has the same facts, you're not really supposed to kind of rehash it. And it's
Okay.
supposed to kind of be for fairness in the legal system. Like,
Right.
okay, if we rule this way, we got to kind of rule like that for everybody. So part of the Marshall Trilogy, Worcester v. Georgia, they said state law shall have no effect in Indian country. And it's been like that for 150 years. But then recently, they have Castro Huerta come out last year from the Supreme Court. And they're like, well, things have changed since Worcester. There's really no legal argument for it. But now states do have legal authority in Indian country. And
Is
so it's just
is that the one? Which court case is that you're talking about? Say
so
that
it came
again.
out of Oklahoma, I believe.
Okay, that's the
Castro
Oklahoma one.
Huerta. Yeah, and so I think it had some pretty bad facts. I think it was like abuse of a child, maybe sexual abuse. I can't remember. But this guy was getting charged
Yeah,
through state court, and they're trying to say that the feds should have jurisdiction through the Major Crimes Act.
right.
But a lot of the other side was like, oh no, they're gonna let these criminals out free and in the street. And it was like, no,
Right.
it was a question of jurisdiction, which prison should he go to, federal or state,
Right.
and Supreme Court. Typically, states have no authority in Indian country, so it should have either been the tribes or feds or both should have had jurisdiction.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
Castro Huerta came out last year. They basically overturned Worcester, part of the Marshall Trilogy, that states now do have authority in Indian country over criminal matters. So it was a non-Indian on Indian crime. So it was a non-Indian perpetrator committing assault on an Indian child.
Okay.
And so typically how the legal system was traditionally set up, the feds or the tribe would have jurisdiction or both. And because there's no double jeopardy because they're separate sovereigns.
Right.
So, but then the state prosecuted the guy. And so they're like, hey, wait. No, the state law has no effect in Indian country. And so that was kind of the whole question. And so now they basically overturned it and there's no legal rationale, and they just kind of basically say things have changed since Worcester. And it's like,
They don't
well, we still have
define.
these certain legal principles from, like we're still politically distinct nations, we're,
Right.
yeah. So, I mean, it's just, I don't know. I'm not sure if that's exactly where your question was going, but it seemed like the court like changed its mind and
Right.
flip-flopped and it just kind of was frustrating.
And they didn't give no clarification on the statement you said about, well, things have changed.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't give a legal
No,
living.
they basically just said things aren't as they were back, and obviously like yeah, that was the 1850s. A
Yeah.
lot of things are different, but
Right. Right.
it's,
Right.
it's just that's not really how the law is supposed to work though. Like it's not like, oh, things changed, so now we're gonna
Yeah.
change our mind now.
Yeah. Wow. This is a lot to consume, man. Um, so then back to okay, so if the Supreme Court can say, well, things have changed, and then as far as tribal law, the same holds true, right? Tribal law, like what Aaron was saying, as far as tradition is concerned, the tribes can define what is or isn't tradition.
Mhm.
Is that kind of what you said there, Aaron? I caught a little glimpse of that.
I was saying within consultation,
Yeah.
we have we have some authority on that. The problem is there's no federal law that gives us full authority of anything, So
Oh, right.
it's all within the constraints of whatever that is. So in section 106 consultation, we do have quite a bit of authority if the project is consulted right. But
Right.
that's not always the case though. And the problem with that is there's no there's a hard way to challenge it because all the law states is to make a good faith effort. The federal
Right.
agency has to make a good faith effort. And that's really hard to take to court and be like, "Hey, they didn't do that." And be like, "Well,
They didn't bring donuts.
yeah,
It was a
no,
bad effort or
And
something.
what's
Yeah.
crazy is that a lot of things in law are like that because they always say, well, if it's black and white, there wouldn't be a controversy and it would get settled before it even went to trial or anything. And so it's a lot of gray areas, and it's who can make the most compelling argument. And so I don't know if it's like job security for lawyers, but I sometimes it's kind of frustrating because then it's like capitalism. People with the most money can kind of maybe in a sense buy verdicts or sway the court, by being able to hire the better attorney.
Very interesting. Well, so yeah, well, I guess it's like what you said, consultation. It's just consultation, right? I mean,
Yeah, not consent, but consultation.
yeah, consultation. So sort of
Check.
like asking the death row inmate what he wants for his last meal, right?
Yeah.
Kind of what it is. Yeah. You're gonna die anyway, but we're gonna let you sort of choose what you want to eat, before you die.
Do you want a Salisbury steak?
Yeah. Whole platter of TV dinner Salisbury's, which is pretty tasty, by the way. Yeah.
I haven't had one in a long time.
Me neither.
Let's sidetrack here on food for a second.
Okay, 1 second. Sidetrack. Yeah.
You have you ever seen white people eat pork chops?
No, I haven't.
Dude, I know. I have a theory. It's like only an Indian thing.
What? That eat pork chops?
I don't see white people eat pork chops. I only ever see Indian people buy pork chops or eat pork chops.
What?
Dude, name one white person that eats pork chops.
Well, yeah, I can't. Why?
How many Indian homes have you been in your whole life on any res? And pork chops were either served the night before and or that night. Tell me, it's happened pretty regular, right? Like
I had a menudo. I had a bowl of menudo in which a full pork chop was dished with the menudo. Like it was cooked with the full pork chop was in the menudo. Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right.
I'm just saying, like, it's weird, dude. And I don't know if this is on every res, but I've seen pork chops served with applesauce.
Well,
you never seen that? If people can comment or something or email, I want to know what other reses that are happening on, because I've seen it pretty regular, man. Pork chops and applesauce. But dude, I'm telling you, man, pork chops. I never went into like a white person's house and their kids are all sitting at the table eating pork chops, dude. I've never seen it.
Okay.
Bryan, Supreme Court decisions, man. Pork chops and applesauce just don't make sense.
It doesn't make sense, but it happens, dude. Bryan, have you seen it? Have you seen a home of non-Indian people eating pork chops?
No, I
How much?
seen a big old farmer guy coming through Richwines once in Polson and order a pork chop sandwich.
I mean, that counts. I think we'll count that, huh, Sean D?
Yeah, I mean, you ought to. So
A pork
okay.
chop sandwich still is a whole different animal.
Well, yeah, because when you eat it on a plate, it requires some different methods to consume.
I could see Sean Dean wants to get back on track. He
No, I
doesn't
don't.
The pork. I think the pork chop triggered something in him.
No.
Agency Road, something happened.
No.
Something happened with pork chops. Shake and bake even? Was it a shake and bake?
Oh man,
chop?
yeah. Oh yeah. The shake and bake. Oh yeah.
Change the game, dude.
This is the thing about the shake and bake though that I always had a complaint about is, I mean, you take all this time to shake the pork chop or chicken in a little baggie, you know, and you shake it up and put it on the cooking pan and you cook it up, and then when you take it out, you pick it up or you run a fork across it, it just all falls off. Like it doesn't stay put, you know? Right? Have you had that experience?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It just falls off. And then you can.
Oh, dude.
What?
But you remember being a kid and all the shaking falls off.
Yeah.
But dude, you eat your food and then you do that swipe with the fork. I was
just gonna say that.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, you get a full blast of the bake. You got the shake,
dude,
now you're eating the bake.
Dude, and then you taste that with the icy cold glass of orange Kool Aid. Boy, if heaven ain't on earth, man.
Oh yeah, orange Kool Aid. I'd prefer the grape. Yeah, orange will do. Yeah,
orange, dude.
Grape is.
People are sleeping on orange, dude. Dude, recently I heard somebody say red Kool Aid was their favorite, and I'm like,
red.
Who are you?
Yeah, I mean, both flavors of red was not good. Strawberry or cherry.
No.
Yeah. You know, someone mixed the good bad. Well, okay, wait. There was those ones who would always insist on making the Kool-Aid with the warm water, so the sugar would melt faster, and you couldn't enjoy it.
That's a chemist, though, dude.
That's
a chemist.
So you got to wait 3 hours for it to cool in the fridge. And then,
that's a native that's thinking long term, man. They're saying, you know what? Kool-Aid drinking is a marathon. It's not a sprint. You know, yeah. Bryan, what's your favorite Kool-Aid color, man?
Yeah, what you got?
Probably blue. I like that tropical punch one.
Ooh. Charkleberry, or
I'm shocked that you would say that, but you know, I respect it. I'm a bit traditional, I'm a bit orthodox, and it's orange Kool-Aid for me, man. I gotta stay with the basic four, man.
Straight orange.
The basic four, man.
Yeah, I like
anything close to red, you know.
I don't mess with red though, dude.
No, yeah, the red, no, that's awful. Yeah, it tastes like poison or something. Yeah.
What about the Kool-Aid that don't have enough sugar? Garbage, man.
I know. Yeah,
dude, you can. There's no level of being 10 years old and the anticipation when they come out with the pitcher and they're gonna do the refills, and you're like, oh snap, we're getting some Kool-Aid, and you take a splash of that Kool-Aid, and it's underwhelming, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, you go from elated to like, this is dog shit, man.
You knew when it was well sweetened and made well, because there was like a little bit of foam on the top, you know,
dude,
like a little bit of froth.
Dude, you knew you were gonna buzz, dude.
You were in for a treat. Yeah.
It was milky.
It was. Yeah, it was
Kool-Aid.
Man,
he was gonna rip, dude. He was like, oh man, this is happening. My muscles are gonna hurt, dude.
Let's go walk around. You guys want to walk around? Yeah. Oh man. Okay. Anyway, I don't know if this is gonna wow your law class this time.
Hey man, it's a podcast, man. It
We're
goes
still
where it
going.
goes.
We're still going though, man. We're still going.
People don't listen to our podcast. I'm learning this. After listening to it, they don't listen to it for the intellectual conversation. They look for it for the transition. We're the only people who can go from talking about federal Indian law to Kool Aid in like. We're the only people, man. Nobody's getting it. Nobody's getting it anywhere else, dude. We got a monopoly on transitions.
Yeah, the hard turns. The hard turns. Yeah. Well, that's
All right, let's
life,
get-
man. That's life.
let's-
Okay.
Let's get Bryan back involved. with
Let's
this
settle back in.
expert.
Open back your reader.
Well,
packet
simple,
two. Okay.
simple question, man. How do you, Bryan, define sovereignty? Tribal sovereignty. Let's hear it.
Yeah.
To me,
Go.
it's the ability to govern your people and your land and govern your resources. And so it's just full autonomy to just basically make all decisions regarding your people as a whole and how you govern your territory and interact with other sovereigns in their territories.
What if those decisions are deemed bad?
Man, that's sovereignty, I think.
Still should be the train wreck. Let it fix itself.
Well, it's I guess like deemed bad by who? Because like
Yeah. Who's
that's always
defining it?
the problem. Like when you're looking at like tribal leadership, and some are theoretically thinking, generations ahead and kind of bigger picture, and then sometimes tribal members are upset, with the immediate decisions, and so it's like, so I guess it's like you're talking like the leadership being upset or the membership being upset, and so I guess those are kind of two different
Well, I guess
conversations. Yeah.
I guess I mean, let's take North Korea for example. Like they have sovereignty to do what they wish. However, apparently there's a number of human rights violations. Well, human rights violations as determined by some world governing organization, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for a majority of the world, I'd say from what we know about what happens in North Korea, that we would all think that was probably morally wrong or bad about what's going on. So I guess sovereignty in that sort of dilemma, presented with that sort of dilemma, should that be allowed, or should that? I mean, what sort of is there a provision about sovereignty when things become or start to stray from a general humanities moral compass?
Yeah, it's difficult because I get, we'd obviously like to have morals as a whole, but then it's like once you start letting one group be able to tell another group what they can or can't do, it takes their sovereignty away, and so that's where I struggle with it. 'Cause it's kind of like that's what happened to Indian tribes in a sense, and
Right.
like, oh, we feel like we know what's in your best interest,
Right.
so they kind of tried to dictate that, and so it's like, yeah, I don't agree with what Kim Jong Un's doing, but
Right.
at the same time, if you start letting other people tell other people what to do, they eventually could come after you.
Right. Right. Let's see. So how can we confuse this even more? So, all right. Okay. So sovereignty is sort of an inherent right
Mhm.
to govern oneself in the way that they deem fit.
Mhm.
Okay. And how would they deem who I guess would it even matter to anyone looking outside in what that deeming process is and what fit might be defined as? Or is that part of what sovereignty is not even worrying about who ought to know or who ought to be a part of developing those constructs of fitness and or of deeming things fit?
Yeah, because traditionally, just from what I've read, it seemed like things wild are varied wildly. It's where some tribes there was no real government structure, just kind of when something would happen, they would address it. And then others, like the Iroquois Confederacy, the Haudenosaunee, I think, it was like 5 tribes. They had these different processes and how you'd go about maybe like modern day bringing a claim, like I've been hurt, this person, damaged me in this way, and then they could have people speak on their behalf and almost kind of like have court and evidence and stuff like that. And so it's just at that time, and a lot of that dated back to like even like 1000 AD, and long before we had any European contact, some tribes were already kind of having some of those systems in place where other tribes had no systems in place, and it worked for them.
Right.
And so I guess it just kind of, I guess, depends on the need and the group that's, what needs they're trying to fulfill.
Okay. So in the history of the North American continent and all the things that happen in relation to colonialism and assimilative policies, etc., the tribes were, I guess, in sort of were put into a state of disarray. I mean, economies were destroyed and devastated. Intergenerational ties were disrupted. We know all these things that happen, and then things were pretty bad, from the stories that we know and hear about how things were and how, and I think it's sort of where I think, and this is a thought of mine, is I think that's where we had the traditions of the outside world sort of leak in, because you had a number of I guess you could call them the same things that you were speaking of earlier, these land speculators, but these were our own tribal members that became sort of these intermediaries between the modern moral lens and and the traditional moral lens, and started to define sort of what they thought was important to make it in the world. And I mean, we're not there anymore, right? We're not in a state of destitution anymore. Our kids don't get sent off to boarding schools. I mean, some things are still present, addiction, alcoholism still issue, those kind of things, but that's, it's sort of a humanity thing in this day and age. So what's stopping us then from sort of rewinding the clock a bit, or taking a step back to more of a modern approach to where we're looking at the constructs of what we deem, right or fit in order to address some of the ills that had happened from the past. What's stopping us from doing that?
I think a lot of it's skepticism.
Okay.
Just skepticism of the system, the buy-in, skepticism of, basically trust in the U.S. government. It's kind of a pendulum that flip back and forth. And so, yeah, sometimes they're on our side, and then other times they're totally against us. And there's a lot of really bad history that we had to overcome as tribes. And so I think a lot of that is just skepticism, and I hear a lot of opportunities that tribes have, but then they're like, oh, it's too good to be true. Or no, they wouldn't come to us if it was really that good. And so, tribes would turn down like really good economic development opportunities, or opportunities to maybe join cases that could have had a different outcome, and just all, across the board, just kind of skepticism of basically what the outcome's going to be, because traditionally it never was in our favor a lot of times.
Right. I guess what I'm talking about is so I guess, for example, I use this example often, and probably too romantically, I guess, in a way, but I think about the ancient legal system, or the sort of the traditional tribal system, and I think of the whip, public whipping of people when they did something wrong. What and it seemed to work. I mean, well, it worked in a time period. It worked when the tribes were more cohesive and together, and people sort of had aligned beliefs and aligned thoughts and an aligned pursuit of what ought to be achieved. What's stopping tribes from exerting sovereignty and taking back some of those traditions in an incremental way, so that it further helps to align sort of beliefs and thoughts, structures, and norms.
There's a lot of tribes that actually kind of gone that restorative justice model and started bringing back in customary law. I know Navajo Nation's a good example of their peacemaking courts, and I think the Lakotas have something in the works, or they might have something too. I remember learning a few examples in school, and so a lot of them is about restoring harmony or restoring balance after like an injustice happened. And so it's not like a punitive model like the American system, like, oh, we're gonna throw you in a jail cell for 20 years, you won't do that again.
Yeah.
You know, it's like more how can we repair the damage that's done? How can we repair this relationship, you know, and kind of keep the peace
Right.
among people as a whole? And so
Right.
there's a lot of tribes that are kind of going that route, and
Right.
the courts have shown a lot of deference towards it and kind of allowed it to happen. But then some cultural experts are then worried, you know, like we all got like that, you know, maybe Uncle Jimmy, you know, that used customary law to get out of a DUI or something, you know. I mean, you gotta be careful, like when you start using that stuff too.
Uncle Jimmy.
This is cultural alcohol. It's a tradition.
Yeah. This is homegrown, man. That ain't an issue anymore. But yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just curious about it. I don't know. I don't know a lot about the legal construct of sovereignty, but I do
There's a
know
book.
there's a book.
There's a book. No, there's a book written by a guy named Keith Bass.
Keith Basso.
And it's called The Third Space of Sovereignty.
Oh,
it's a really interesting read, man. It's pretty cool. I think that's
you think so?
The Third Space of Sovereignty.
Okay. We'll Google that up and find out.
Yeah, give it a bing.
Yeah.
I like them. Or also our local tribe, compared Salish Kootenai tribes, the late Winona Tanner when she was chief judge.
Yeah.
One example I'd use at the law school for customary law, when students would kind of wonder what it looked like, is when people would legally poach or shoot deer, instead of just giving like the traditional $100 fine, she would make them go meet with the culture committee, and they'd get bawled out by the elders and then kind of explained why things are important, and then make them write up kind of a letter or paper like explaining what they learned, and then she'd post them outside the court on the wall, and you could go in there and like read what these kids had to write, and how they'll, you know, do that again, and they didn't realize the importance of it, and then they kind of get reconnected with their culture. And so a lot of that disharmony or those restorative models they talk about a lot of reconnection. And so I kind of like that example, like they got to reconnect with their culture and understood the importance of it.
That's pretty good. I like that. Does that still happen or no? Is that something, was that just her?
I'm not sure after she passed, if I think it's what, Chief Plouffe now. I'm not sure if he still does the same thing or not. I'd have to ask.
Yeah. Third Space of Sovereignty is Kevin Brunel. Brunel. Yeah, Brunel. Kevin Brunel.
Keith Basso wrote another book that Wisdom Sits in Place.
Wisdom Sits in Place, Okay. Well, that's interesting, man. And I don't know. It's like this aspiration of mine, I guess, to see more effort for tribes to sort of adopt a different way of doing things. But you know, I don't work in that. I don't sit in the trenches in that. So I'm sure it's harder than I think to do. And just like any quasi democracy, you know, you live and die by the vote, and that's pretty true here where we come from is, you do something that's you might think is progressive, and a handful of people think, yeah, that's going to be great. And, if it doesn't align well with the majority of the population, then you're out and your ideas are out, but you'll get a nice cush job, afterwards. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know if you will or not. Yeah, you be the next department head of grants and procuration. I don't know.
Procurement.
Yeah, grants and procurements. Yeah, at IHS or something. I don't know. Unless you're a one term, then you might get maybe a supervisor position at the dental. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this. I just was curious about this sovereignty thing. And from your experience, your law experience, knowing the United States legal tradition along with the current tribal law, what are we doing, man? What are we doing? Are we just copying U.S. tradition? Are we trying something new, different, I guess, across the country?
It depends, like tribe to tribe. Some tribes are really scared to do anything different. And I think, unfortunately, CSKT falls a little under that umbrella. We have the Indian Reorganization Act, Constitution, and so it's all boilerplate language, and we still have blood quantum, which is an assimilation kind of tactic, and so it's kind of, but I think they're also kind of scared to kind of do anything different, and maybe what the outcomes might be, but then you see other tribes are doing really well at that, and just kind of taking initiative. And I don't know if they just have the right people in the right positions, like capacity to kind of go that route, or are they just saying screw it, let's do it, like what do we got to lose?
Yeah, that's a strange one. I don't know. I just don't know. I had a follow up on this and I forgot it. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I'm curious. Oh, Aaron's getting tired. Look at him. He's tuckered out. You all right there, partner? You want to jump in on this? I've been saying a lot of things. I'm waiting for Aaron to, because he asked the initial question about sovereignty. I think it was a smokescreen so he could shoot off a text or two. Is that true?
No.
Was he engaged? Was he listening?
Oh, that's an unfair question to ask.
Wow.
No, I'm good. I'm listening. No, you were talking and then you kept saying, I had a follow up for that and I forgot. So I stayed quiet thinking, oh, he's going to come up with this thing.
This is your time.
You made it weird. I made it weird.
Okay, I'm sorry. What did I do? What did I do?
Just ask the question.
I don't have a question. Okay, reeling it in. This is it. Well, this goes off topic. So,
all right.
But I wanted Aaron to give Aaron a chance to reflect on all the things that Bryan and I just said, to be fair and inclusive, so everybody can be heard.
Well, I talked a lot on this.
You did, yeah. That was good, man. Proud of you.
I'm a pessimist, dude. I don't have any faith in the federal government.
Right.
I don't believe in our form of tribal government now. So I'm down for whatever, man. Like there's never been a system created by the US government that favored tribal people. So it'd be no different for anything from the Reorganization Act or any non-IRA tribe. So it's still all just following the template of a fake representative democracy that in fact cannot work in populations that are small. It just can't can't function because there's no anonymity and what is that called?
Anonymity.
Yeah, there's none of that. When you know everybody, your system's gonna break. So it has to be a different form. Why not use, well, I think you can't put the genie back in the bottle, but I'm not a very positive person when it comes to this kind of stuff. So I'm often the wrong person to talk to like about anything like this, because for one, we as tribes cannot get unified on even what sovereignty means. Secondly, sovereignty is a muscle that has to be exercised, and some tribes don't want to do it. They just don't want to exercise that muscle. So I'm a bit complacent and I pout a little bit when it comes to it because for one, it takes big brass balls to do it, man.
Yeah.
Like honest to God, like you got to be willing to take on the US government. You got to be willing to shake the tree, man.
Yeah.
And a lot of us aren't. We don't want to bite the hand.
No.
Yeah, 'cause it definitely like wasn't a system that was designed for us, and so we kind of, and I don't even think they intended to have a place for us in the system, but we kind of just had to, make it work, and it's so that's kind of like, I had to kind of get over in law school in the very beginning. I was real frustrated and down on the whole system, but then I was like, I know this wasn't designed for us, it wasn't meant for us, but at least, maybe now we could try to use it in our favor. We more understand it than we did 150 years ago, where it was used to our detriment.
Yeah.
That's always like the real frustrating thing in law, is like when you're reading these cases, it's hard not to have a physical reaction. It's hard not to get upset, and then you're supposed to be trying to learn, and it's like your heart's racing, you're sweating, you want to cuss, and so it's just, it's always difficult, I think.
Yeah. Agreed.
So I definitely share some of those frustrations. Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard until you see the economic state of a lot of tribes in the West. It's really hard for people. In theoretically law can work, right? But it's hard to accept that concept when you see poor people, man. The attack on the court is typically not a privilege of poor people,
right?
Of any group, right? And so when you challenge law, it's typically a privilege, and it's usually backed by finances. And Native people, especially in the West, are poor. They're poor people. Some of these places are like third world conditions, and it's hard to go there and think, oh yeah, I believe in the system now. You know what I mean? Like I believe that it can work for us. It's hard. It really is. So I think some of that plays a role in it. It's not that we can't win with the law. Like I do agree with Bryan that like it's the system we're given. We have to learn to work within it, and we can. And we have case study that prove that. But when you come from a people for the last 150 years, in some cases 200, we don't know how to win. We just don't know how to find success in things. So we self-destruct in other ways, So like it's hard for us to see long-term the win. Some places don't even have, we can't even build infrastructure, literally. So when new buildings go up, it freaks everybody out. Imagine challenging the court. It's going to be like such a foreign thing, That's my 2 cents. And this is all because of Chief Justice John Marshall and his 3 little law cases that he just whatever decided that he was going to just. He was a control freak, man. He's a weird guy, dude.
Yeah, and it was like weird in the beginning. They didn't even know, like, who is this Justice Chief, Marshall and Supreme Court? And it's like, I know, like, state of Georgia didn't even show up to their 2 arguments. They didn't even present oral argument or nothing,
dude. And then Andrew Jackson says, "Well, if it's your decision, you enforce it."
Yep.
So it's like nobody even took this guy seriously. So you got this highly insecure Chief Justice who's like, God dang it, people listen to me, And then after these people are like, whatever, dude, do what you want. Like,
oh man, this is too much. It's too much, man. Well, Bryan, it's been I don't know, it's been a great discussion for me. I learned quite a bit about certain things, but I want to know, do you have anything else you want to add?
Well, I as far as Supreme Court kind of decisions go in Indian country, I believe it was 2010, or maybe it's early 2000s. They had like the Supreme Court project kind of start up to where tribes started trying to kind of unify and kind of strategizing on their briefs. And so they would just submit like 50 duplicative duplicative briefs, they would kind of strategize like, wait, we're gonna talk about this, we're gonna talk about that. They would split it up. And since then, it seems like we're really making headway in Indian country, because starting kind of in the late 70s, early 80s till 2010, it was kind of the dark ages. I think there were like 2 cases the tribes won during that whole time. And so, it's like one of the worst periods of Indian law.
Yeah.
And so tribes started kind of unifying and using, these really prestigious Supreme Court attorneys. Unfortunately, they're all predominantly white males, but having these high up guys kind of argue our cases, and it's kind of working out in our favor, with McGirt and Cooley, Cougar Den, a lot of those recent ICWA like Brackeen. But on the other side, it's something we got to be aware of in Indian countries. There's this firm, I'm not going to say their name, but they're really anti-Indian, and they're the ones taking up all these cases pro bono. So they're like hand selecting these cases to try to overturn these concepts in Indian law. And so they're the ones that took up Brackeen, they took up Cooley, so they're the ones taking up all these cases. And so I think it's good in some ways. 150, 200 years ago, things might have been different if we could have united as, 574 tribes, or those are federally recognized tribes. But, at least nowadays, in current day, we are starting to kind of see that unification and seeing the payoffs from it. Because we all have the same interests. And so.
Right. Interests in casinos? No,
I mean, it's
that's one of the things.
Development, because I mean, that's one thing we always joke around with any casinos, but a lot of that is federal policy. I mean, it's really hard to make money when you don't even own your land. Kind of goes back to that whole conversation.
That's that's the stereotype, and it's kind of the joke, but that's the real deal, right? That's the product of some of that work. Well, that's cool, man. I don't know what else to say. I'm a fan I'm a fan of fancy words. So what was the one you said again? Perfunctory.
Usufructory.
Usufructory.
Basically, the right to occupy, the right to gather, the right to hunt and fish.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. I feel like I got some perfunctory business I got to do. I didn't know if I said it right.
You're not saying it right.
What did you say again? Then? I want the audience to know how to say this word.
Usufructory.
Okay, it's awesome, man.
Sounds like
Aaron,
around, but
Aaron, what's up, man? Let's wrap this up, man. This is a cool one. I'm glad we had a chance to chat with Bryan again. Congratulations on your
congratulations.
Your accomplishment. That's pretty awesome, man.
Went from slanging cigarettes out a drive-through window to part-time hydrologist to like now an Indian law guy.
I know, man.
It's a big deal.
It is.
It's a big deal, and it shouldn't be taken lightly.
No.
It's a privilege to represent Indian people.
It is, man.
Sometimes I forget it with my job, but it's a good reminder that it's a responsibility, but it's a good burden to have,
For sure. Well, cool, man. Any last words, Bryan, and then we'll sign her out. What you got?
Yeah, just thank you guys for having me, man. It's always a joy to BS you guys and have a good old conversation. And
awesome, man. All right, Dr. Dirty Belly.
Appreciate the recognition.
Yeah.
Okay, Dr. Dirty Belly out.
Dirty Belly out.
Dirty Belly out. All right, guys. Enjoy your pork chops and Kool Aid.
Yeah.
And applesauce.